With regards to the breaches that can come about as a result, so from the COVID situation, that the pandemic's left with the culture of remote working now, and employees are working from their home internet services. We don't know how secure these are, and breaches arise, which the ICO will need to be aware of at every stage, to provide that sort of guidance as to how to deal with things as well. And breaches are unavoidable, and security incidents of sensitive or confidential data can be stolen or viewed or transmitted or used by unauthorized individuals or organizations, and this can result in great financial loss, or an individual may leave, so for example, leave something on the train which another person picks up. So to address breaches in organizations, they need to develop key documents in guidance with GDPR to guide the organizational decisions and how breaches will be dealt with, whether they happen within the organization or outside, and have a good set of principles by creating clear guidelines for example, employees, and everyone should be aware of the time to respond to data protection breaches, which is within currently 72 hours of becoming aware of it, which potentially can be extended if they have good reason. And a company needs clear policies in place to encourage employees to ask them questions such as whether they need to essentially collect that data. Are they using the data in a way that's not expected? How will the data be deleted? So companies need to document compliance and have a privacy review process in place to protect themselves, which is a must. Company internal policies should clearly provide guidance on how do you report breaches and to who. The company should have a data protection officer to oversee all compliance and create an environment of privacy and transparency with good record keeping. But data collection can also be tech-based, so artificial intelligence to collect data, for example, passports and identity of persons. And when collecting data of documents, you need to know your vulnerabilities, because systems holding customer data can be hacked. And data has different levels of sensitivity. So, for example, emails can be considered less sensitive than customer passports or credit card details, which they are processing during an online purchase. And as a company, you need to have the strategies in place for how much information you should collect and what information you really need to keep, and is this for long term or short term? And the shorter the time you need to keep the information, the less exposed you are. And companies must have a legal basis to collect data with prior consent. So allowing your clients or customers to opt in or opt out should be communicated very well. And the consent could be contractual, so it doesn't have to be sort of written consent. You could have had this in a contract with a particular person, or because you have a legitimate interest. So for example, an online transaction, you need enough information about the person to complete the transaction and take steps to prevent fraud, and this is a legitimate interest because it's processing the transaction, which would outweigh your privacy rights at the time. So yeah, that's my sort of take on that.